His wife and his son for nearly $1 million in life insurance money. And there's suspicion he was on the verge of doing the same to his current wife. Dan and Nancy will weigh in live on that just ahead. But ABC's Lindsay Davis is here with more on the story first. Good morning, Lindsay.
Good morning, Robin. A greedy man with a very cold heart. That's how Karl Karlsen's former father-in-law describes him. His first wife, his son, and his horses all died years apart, and police say Karlsen collected insurance payouts on all of them. He now faces charges of second-degree murder and insurance fraud. This morning, 52-year-old Karl Karlsen is sitting in a jail cell, accused of murdering his son, nearly 2 decades after the suspicious death of his first wife.
He's accused of some horrible things. We'll have to see whether or not the courtroom and the court process finds him innocent or guilty.
Those horrible things are a series of occurrences that investigators say likely weren't coincidences. First, there was the California house fire in 1991 that claimed the life of his then-wife, Christina. Investigators say he collected a $200,000 life insurance payout. Then there was the 2008 death of his 23-year-old son, Levi, crushed to death when the truck he was working under unexpectedly slipped off its jack. Police say Karlsen collected a $700,000 life insurance payout for that. Police say Karlsen, who pleaded not guilty, chalks it all up to a string of bad luck.
It's extremely unlikely that someone would have that many tragic events a few weeks after they obtain exorbitantly high insurance policies. There was also the fact that he facilitated a handwritten will on the day that Levi died.
Thanks to a tip from an unnamed family member, New York and California authorities have now reopened the investigations into the circumstances surrounding both deaths. Cindy Karlsen, Karl's soon-to-be ex-wife, was one of investigators' first calls.
Her first words were, "Thank God you called."
Cindy told police she also had her suspicions, especially after she says she learned he used some of the life insurance payout from his son to take out a life insurance policy on her worth $1.2 million. His first wife's family was also suspicious.
For 20 years, I stood in the gap believing that justice would take place, and I never gave up hope, never.
Karlsen's attorney did not return our calls. The DA prosecuting his first wife's case declined comment. Investigators say in a nearly 10-hour interview, 75 times he denied killing his son, but they say he contradicted himself with inconsistent accounts of just how his son died. His trial begins late next month, George.
Okay, Lindsay, let's get more on this now from our legal team, Dan Abrams and Nancy Grace, the host of Nancy Grace on HLN. And Dan, I guess this guy either has really bad luck or he got away with murder for a long time.
Right, and the question is, why did it take so long to catch him, so to speak? I mean, taking out an insurance policy here and there and cashing in. But there is a real legal question here about whether they're going to be able to introduce this tape, meaning this wife very bravely goes and gets him to make all these confessions on tape, but it's his wife, and there is a spousal privilege in New York that very well could allow him to prevent her from testifying, and so there's going to be a big legal fight over whether that tape comes in.
Nancy, how could prosecutors get that tape into evidence?
Well, there's not going to be a problem at all. Like all the rules in the world, they're made to be broken. Just like hearsay, there are over 20 exceptions to that. There are exceptions to the marital privilege as well. Number one, he stated these things to his wife in confidence, but they were sitting in an open restaurant surrounded by people, including cops. I don't know how confidential that was. Number two, the marriage must be viable for the confidence to exist. They were in the process of a divorce. Number three, the confidence, the marital privilege does not apply if it is about the mistreatment, abuse, or murder of a domestic relative, a wife or a child. He killed his son and he killed his first wife. And she was afraid he was going to kill her next. And let me point out one other thing about that 1991 fire that I didn't hear mentioned. Let me point out that he saved his other 3 children, but his wife died in the bathroom.
Well,
guess what?
Didn't just
a few
die.
days before the fire, he boarded up the window with 17 nails so she couldn't get out. She was trapped in the bathroom and burned to death.
Yeah, look, you're not going to hear me defending this guy. The only question is going to be whether this tape comes in and whether she can testify. And I don't think it's quite as simple as Nancy's laying out, because one of the key factors in deciding does someone get to say spouse can't testify is, was the conversation intended to sort of further the marital bond? And her getting him to come out there and make these comments, she said, what she kept saying to him is, look, this is the only way I can trust you. This is the only way we can make this relationship work. But Nancy's right. With other people around, that's going to be the key argument.
And also, does the fact that he's taken out a life insurance policy on her, which could indicate a bad motive, undercut his chances?
Well, he's in a lot of trouble. I mean, it's not going to change the spousal privilege issue. But he's just, this guy that takes out life insurance policy after life insurance policy.
Can you two please come clean? These were his investments. He would take the money that he got from the other dead people. He even killed his horses. I think they were Belgium draft horses. He would take that money and roll it over into a new insurance policy. And when this last wife, Cindy, finds out that he took the $700,000 he got off his dead son that he dropped a car on and let him lay there in the garage and die, just stood there while he died, he took that money and invested it in a policy on her.
Yeah,
all right, it was a rollover, like minutes with Sprint.
That's the question, is how did they not suspect?
Did anybody
and I think
mention the walker?
And I think part of
Dan, have you seen him hobbling around on a walker? But he only does it in court. When he's not in court, he doesn't need a walker. Hello?
Yeah. This is, I don't even remember what I was going to say.
We just have to quit covering up.
We're out of time anyway.
Let's go to Sam.
George, I'm sorry, but I'm dazzled over here. I'm still paying attention to the gorgeous, crisp, clear images. So clear, it looks like we're standing in Idaho right now. As this picture, there were numerous funnel clouds. And